Okay, let's do a drill down report with groups using the grouping feature. Okay, so to begin with, I just created a fresh report, and I have not even added my data sources and my data sets. And one reason I did that is I wanted to show you a little kind of gotcha. So we're going to add our existing data source, which, yeah, before I do that, let's open this up and pin it. So you can see I have a data source and a data set already here. So I'm going to add my one existing data source 1, data source 1. Notice the name matches, everything's fine. So when I add it, I've got data source 1, data source 1. And you'd expect the same thing to happen when I add the data set. So here's I've got a shared data set called director 1. And here's the list of them, and there's only one, so there's only one in the list. But notice up here in the name, it calls it dataset 1. So if I hit OK, it just called it dataset 1 down here, when it's really director 1. So that can get confusing, and that's actually messed me up a couple of times when I didn't realize it was renaming it like that. Because I had some datasets, I had some called datasets, and I had some called something else, and I didn't realize it was renaming it. So yeah, that can really mess you up if you don't realize that's what it's doing. And it's kind of weird that it doesn't do that for the data set, but it doesn't do that for the data source, but it does do that for the data set. So I guess it's saying they're two separate things once it comes over here, because like one is local and one's global or something like that. So anyway, when you add this, make sure that it's the name you want. Okay, so director, and good. Okay, now let's add our table, and let's add, oh yes, what we're going to do is we want a report where, well, I'll show you the end result because I've already done it over here. We've got a list of directors, and we want to be able to drill down and see a list of their films and the runtime and the total runtime. So you can see the total minutes of film they have out there. So that's what our end goal is. So let's close the end goal. Okay, and what you want to do is, when you do a drill down report, is you start with the inside and work your way out. Because the inside is the children, so you want to start with the children and work your way up to the parents. Okay, so let's start with the film name, which is going to be our inside data. And there's our runtime, and we don't need any more columns for that. And okay, so that's our detail data. Now we want to create a parent on the detail. So let's say parent group. And the parent group is the director. And we do want a header and a footer. So what did that just do for us? Notice we've got this round bracket, this line with a little curve on it. That's showing we have an outer grouping. And we actually have that outer grouping. You can see there's an indentation here showing that this is an outer, this is the parent, this is the child. And you see these three little lines here. You see the three little lines. This is our details row. So details row, and it's even called details row here. Okay, so, and this is our header, and this is our footer. Now, well, let's give these some space here. Need a lot of space for the movie name. Okay, let's just see what we've got so far. Okay, you can see we do have the director, and under the director is the details under the movies, and there's the runtimes. So that all looks pretty good, but of course we can't drill down into it yet. And it's all very white. So we need some color, And another thing is, we don't want this big block over here. We'd like these names to be over here with these. So we need to get rid of this column, which is kind of unintuitive. When you look at this, you're like, okay, how do I get this over here? Because won't that kind of mess things up if I put this in the same column as these things? Because in a lot of other programs like Excel, when you have something like that and you put it in the, this column is its own thing and this column is its own thing, but not here. Here that's a little different. Here we can just delete column, boom, and see we still have the grouping, So now we can add in the director name. So now we've got the director name lined up on top of their movies. So that's a better formatting there. And now we can get rid of, well, first of all, what do we want to do? Yeah, we want to delete this. We're not going to be using that, because we want that to be underneath the director's name. Because here's the film and all that, that's under here. And so let's give this a little color. So we'll do that, and we'll do that. And now we've got, yes, that's starting to look more like a report. And okay, and one thing, we don't need this break right here. So we want to merge this. Okay, now we want a header row for the film and the runtime. And that's a little tricky. What we have to do is we have to click on the details row down here, and then come up here and right click here and do the insert row outside group above. Because we want it to be in here, because we want it to repeat with this data, but not for each row of data. So where we put that, very, very important to get that right. And then we want this to be film name and film length. Okay, so, and now we want to make that look a little more like a report. So we'll do that and preview it. So see, here's our header for the film name and the film length. Okay, so now what we want to do is add that subtotal, or not, yeah, the total for the run for the let's say it's just a total. We want to run it. We want the total for the minutes here. So we come down into, remember this is our footer, and we click on this, and we want to put the film runtime minutes here. But notice what it did. It put a sum. It didn't just put. We only selected the film runtime, but it put a sum here. It put an aggregation. That's because you added a field to a footer, and it was smart enough to realize when you add a field to a footer, you usually want to do a total. So it did a sum aggregation for us. But we can, this shows some of the power of what you can do. If we right click here and hit expression, this is the expression it created for us. You can see it did a sum, fields, bang, field, film runtime in minutes, value. Now we could actually change this to another calculation, or if we wanted to do another calculation, the aggregations are down here. You go through here to get to the aggregations. Here's all the aggregations. They did a sum, but you can do an average, a count, first, last, min, max, standard deviation, variance. They're all in here. So that's something to think about. Okay, so now we've got our aggregations here. So now let's make sure the data is being sorted. Now we want to sort the details. So we want to make sure the details are sorted properly. So we add, and the details are the film. So the details are sorted by the film, and then the director's name, sorting, film name. And that's it. See, when you create an aggregation, it actually creates one for you, and that's why you have to always come in here and make sure it's the one you want. So, and that can trip you up. Sometimes you don't want the sorting. So let's see, let's preview that. So you can see the their name is in alphabetical order, and you can see that so the films and the directors are in alphabetical order. That's what we want. So that worked. Okay, now it's looking good enough for us to actually start doing the drill down. But to do the drill down, we have to turn this advanced mode on. Because what we're going to need is the header and the footer. And you can see what I notice, it's how it's highlighting. So these static members here are actually the header and the footer. And then there's the details. And over here is the properties. We can get rid of that, it's in the way. So what we want to do is we want to say that it's hidden, and we want to have a toggle item. Now this is the item we click in order to hide and unhide the item, which is where we're going to want to click on the director. So and then that's the director's box. So the text box that the director is in is named director name. That's the name of the text box, which really not the best name for a text box. Director name, so we could take a nod from VB and C# and do something like text box. So now that's called text box. And yes, text box name. So now when we go here, toggle item, text box director name, hidden. Okay, so we should see what we've got so far. Okay, yes, now the films are hidden, but notice that the header and the footer are still not hidden. And that's why we had to turn that advanced mode on, because we have to hide these. Unfortunately, this is something we have to do all of them. We can't just hold control down and do these all at the same time. It won't let us do that. So we have to do these all one at a time. And there. Now, when we hit preview, boom, this is what we were looking for. Totally what we were looking for. And now, let's say we want to have another drill. So we want to do a double drill. So now we, an outer layer, another parent. So let's say, and that's what we've got country here for. So now what we want to do, of course, is to right-click here and add a group, parent group, and we're going to group by, of course, the country name, and again we want the header and the footer. Ta-da, there's country name. So boom, here's country name, and here you can see there's the directors by company, country. And so now we just have to make that collapsible. So now we just have to do everything we did before. We have to move the name over here, country name over here. We need to again get rid of this column, and we again have now we need to change color. These are now the same color. Let's make this one a little different. Okay, yeah, that's looking better, but we still want to be able to collapse it. Oh yeah, and we want to merge these cells, and we want to make this the director name. We want to make the toggle item. Oh yeah, let's country. What is this called? This is named country name 1, and let's make this text box. So that's now text box. So director name, title item text box, country name, and hidden true. So now when we go into preview, all we see is China, and that. So we've got a footer down here that we need to hide as well. Oh, it's this one here. It's that one? No, it's that one. So now director, hidden, okay, preview. Oop. Okay, I just hid the wrong one. What I need to hide is actually this one here. So, which is this one here. So I just need to do that, and boom, there's everything. Except we've also got to hide the director name, hidden true preview. There we go. Now, see, now everything pops out, and then all pops out. Okay, so excellent. All right, that's all there is to it in the video.